I've worked all of my life to live in Italy. We found this place, and now this is our place, and it means everything to me. I love that Tuscan food, it's about basic ingredients and the quality of them. It can take a long time. There's braised meats, there's slow-cooked ragouts and sauces and things. We're gonna make 2 types of pesto today. So we're gonna just give this a little zhuzh. Basil and mint. In the trapanese, I like to keep it red. Maria's getting ready to teach you guys the simplest cheesecake.
It's a gin basil smash.
Cheers, everybody. Boom! Food is a conduit. We make food to take us away to places we've never been and dream about going to. You just need your imagination and a couple of bucks, and you have a ticket to anywhere. So come on over. I love this place. I hope you do too. Okay, guys, this is gonna be super fun and super easy. We're gonna make 2 types of pesto today. 1 green, 1 red. When I make pestos, and I make a lot of different types of pesto. My sister's favorite is arugula or rocket pesto. Of course, I make traditional, just pine nuts, cheese, garlic, basil pesto. This is a trapanese style pesto. This is made with almonds and tomatoes. I pulled these out of the freezer to make the point. I can't unscrew the lid because it's frozen a little bit. I wanted to make the point that when you make pesto, you should always make a double batch because it freezes really well. I always put a little bit of plastic film on top before I close the container to keep it from getting crystals on the top, you know? And it defrosts so easy, and that's dinner done, right? I always have a couple of tubs in the freezer, and when you go off to work or run your errands, drive your kids around wherever, take them out, leave them on the counter. All you gotta do when you're ready for dinner is cook up your pasta of choice, right? So take the time to make these twice so you can have a backup in the freezer. The next point is how we keep basil. When you buy basil in the grocery store, often they'll have it in a refrigerated case. They shouldn't, but whatever. When you bring basil home, cut it like fresh flowers, put it in very cold water, and then cover it with a large plastic food storage bag, and you make like a little greenhouse. Thank you, sweetheart. The other thing that hates the cold, and we do that because basil doesn't like the cold. The other thing that hates the cold, and you will destroy the flavor and the texture, tomatoes. Tomatoes and basil are buddies. They like to hang out, and they like to hang out at room temperature. Tomatoes get really mealy if you put them in the refrigerator. They stay fruitier and tastier if you just let them chill on the counter. Not chill, room temperature on the counter. Okay, so the trapanese is almonds and our beautiful little cherry tomatoes. Now these cherry tomatoes they got real fat in our garden, so I quartered these guys. If you buy little tiny ones, you just throw them in the food processor and start with that. We're gonna use a little bit of red pepper. This is ground pepperoncini from La Boite, my favorite spice company. You can also use red pepper flake and or a fresh chili pepper, but we'll discuss that for our second pesto, okay? For this guy, I got my olive oil here. You're gonna need about 3/4 of a cup of olive oil for a batch of pesto. And when you use nuts in any pesto, toast them. Nuts have oil. Oil spoils, so I keep the nuts in the fridge when I bring them home from the market. My sister has a big stash of all different kinds of nuts too for her baking, but she goes through them so quick, she keeps them in the pantry. I usually keep mine in the fridge or the freezer so that the oils don't go south on me if they get too warm in the kitchen. Their flavor develops when they get a little color on them. Most people put the nuts in the oven so they cook evenly on a little sheet pan. I never do that because anything I put in the oven, well, I tend to burn. So I use a more efficient quantity of nuts if I keep them on the stovetop and I can keep my eye on them. Out of sight, out of mind for me. So I try and keep my eyes on as much as possible when I'm cooking. Another great tip is we put everything away as much as possible processed. So onions, I peel them. Garlic, peel them and keep a baggie full in your refrigerated drawer, your refrigerator. If you prep your food, you'll cook more fresh food, right? Just makes sense because a lot of the work is already done for you. So I have this fun little thing. It's like a power tower that pops up and down. It's the coolest thing ever. I feel like I have a Ferrari in my kitchen, you know, that I can use so that I can talk to you while I'm using the food processor or the big blender things, all the little gadgets we use in the kitchen. This is such a useful thing. I didn't even know it existed until a couple years ago. But it's a game changer. And I also always label and rotate. I use a ton of grated cheese. Obviously, I'm cooking in Tuscany. So this is a big deal for me. I rotate this every few days, and you just write in giant letters with a big old Sharpie, Pecorino Parmigiano, the two basics, right? For this pesto, I like a pecorino. Couple of fat handfuls. So our tomatoes. In the trapanese, I like to keep it red, obviously. So I just add a little bit of basil. And then I'm gonna take the top out so we can stream in our olive oil. I'm gonna throw in a couple of cloves of garlic, a couple of small cloves of garlic, and a little pinch of our red pepper. Then once you get it going, you can pulse in your toasted nuts. That's it for pesto number 1. I'm gonna transfer this to a container and then we'll make our second pesto right after this. So generously salt your water whenever you're cooking pasta. I'm making 2 pounds, well, these are 500 grams, a little bit more than a pound in each sack. And this shape is called gili Tuscany. It's the shape of a lily, is all that means. And it's a product made here in Tuscany. And you want to cook pasta, dry pasta especially, in heavily salted water. We want that pasta cooking water, especially when you're mixing pesto and pasta together. You want that salty, starchy water to combine everybody and get them to all kind of get along, right? So you're marrying the pasta to the sauce. Always put a cup, it can be a coffee mug, who cares? It's something to take some of that nice, salty, starchy cooking liquid before you drain your pasta. I'm getting too short to reach my own paddles. That is a problem because I will continue to shrink as I grow old. We're gonna have to move the containers a little bit closer. So we're gonna just give this a little zhuzh and make our second pesto. We've already got our trapanese style, of course, and this is a red pesto with the almonds, right? This is typical of Sicily and southern Italy, this style. Now, I like to make, as I said, a traditional basil pesto as well with toasted pine nuts. But I am going to be a little irreverent and I'm going to make my green pesto today with basil and mint, which actually complement each other quite nicely. Lots of lemon juice. My garbage bowl. Always squeeze lemons cut side up so that the seeds stay with the lemon and don't fall into your sauce. Couple of cloves of garlic. And we'll let this get going a little bit. Stream in some olive oil. And then we're going to pulse in Sicilian pistachios. Again, always remember to toast the nuts when you're making these types of sauces. And our Parmigiano Reggiano. A couple of fat handfuls of that. And our fresh chili. Now, the heat in chili peppers lives inside where the ribs and the seeds are. So if you want to make this a little more mellow, you do what I did here and remove the insides, and it chills it out, mellows it out. It'll still be zippy. This is a spicy pesto here, but it won't be as zippy. And that's it. She's a done. I'm gonna keep an eye on the pasta, and I'll meet you back here in a couple, and we'll toss the pestos together with their pasta. Maria's getting ready to teach you guys the simplest cheesecake, which is gorgeous. We have our starchy cooking water, extremely important to marry the pasta with the sauce. I'll do that once Maria gets going. I want you guys to not miss a minute of her wonderful dessert. Explain to me, this is a very weird cheesecake. Explain this.
Okay, I'm making a Basque, which is a crustless cheesecake. Easiest cheesecake in the world, also known as the burnt cheesecake because of its caramelized top. Not burnt, just caramelized. So, it's one bowl, we mix. Okie doke, so easy. We're gonna take 3 cups of soft cheese. I am using cream cheese. Because it's tangy, it's easy to get, and it's already smooth. Because this dish, the whole trick is smooth.
Can I just grab the pasta before it gets...
Of course. Scant cup of sugar, and we mix. You have to get every ingredient room temperature so it combines and blends easily, quickly. Has to be smooth. No lumps in this, no grainy, and it will be a big success. Always with this one, scrape, make sure everything comes off the bottom. Okay, nice and creamy. Everything else goes in. 3/4 cup of sour cream. This is a sweet, tangy, like cheese souffle. 4 eggs. 3 tablespoons of flour. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And 1/4 teaspoon each nutmeg and salt. Combine. Again, no grits, no lumps. This has to be completely smooth. This will be really, really, really soupy, almost watery. It's correct. What I did here this is really cool. I greased a 9-inch springform pan.
Right.
And then I laid parchment in it, crinkle it. Just crumble it up because it kind of gives this cheesecake a really cool, when you peel the parchment, it makes a cool print in the cheesecake.
Cool. We're just tossing pasta together with the hot, starchy cooking water to make everybody get along. Oh, sorry, sweetheart.
Ooh.
I just hit him in the belly. Okay, the big reveal, all of us, all the food, right after this. John, why don't you take things away and tell them what you're making?
I won't take anything away. I'm gonna leave it all right here so we can have the drinks. It's a gin basil smash.
From the Savoy Hotel.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
Our version.
I'm copying it from this hotel we love in Florence called the Savoy. You can have this right on the sidewalk in front of the hotel. They have really beautiful cocktails, including something that tastes a lot like this. So basil, of course, because it's a basil smash.
A lot of basil.
So guess what I'm gonna do?
Smash.
I'm gonna smash some basil. So I figure basil, you know, you're making pesto. So I always like to try and pair what I'm doing
And we
with.
grow a lot.
My God, we are overrun with basil.
We grow a lot of basil, yes.
This is called muddling, technically, not smashing, but it's the same thing. You gotta get a muddler, or you can use a big wooden spoon if you don't have a muddler. So since it's a gin basil smash, we're going to add some gin.
Our gin, by the way, that I wrote.
I love, kind of one of my go-to things is gin with anything muddled. Could be fruit, could be herbs, lemon juice, and something sweet. That always makes a really good cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Although I think Staple tastes like a cocktail anyway. Like there's so many ingredients in it, and there's such high quality ingredients that I truly believe it already tastes great, just straight.
It does. So now we're adding fresh lemon juice. I guess you could use lime juice, but lemon's more of like a pesto kind of vibe, right?
No, I use lemons and limes.
Okay.
It depends on the pesto I'm making.
And then you could do simple syrup here if you want. I'm doing some elderflower liqueur, which I use all the time, and I love it.
Saint-Germain is so fabulous.
It's sweet, but it's not like overly sweet. It's got a little bit of a light floral thing happening.
It's more interesting than just using sugar water.
Yeah, which is what syrup is. This is a really easy drink to make. That's kind of it. And this one you can shake because it has juice in it, which is already cloudy, so it doesn't matter if you shake the drink and cloud it up. Shaking's just quicker than stirring. If we didn't have juice in this, we'd still have basil in it, so I would still shake it. Typically, I shake about 17 seconds, but I haven't been counting. So.
Please don't be crazy enough to stand there and count to 17 when you make this. Good job, honey. It's so creamy. Okay, guys, so when you go to the table, You can just scatter around a couple extra leaves of basil on either of these pestos, because they both have it in the ingredients, right? I put out a big old bowl of cheese, a mix of both pecorino and parm. They get along well together. Pecorino is, of course, sheep's milk cheese, and parm, the king of all cheeses, is cow's milk. I think that's enough, don't you guys?
Yeah, looks pretty.
And basil was the star ingredient of the day, thanks to John's cocktail. Maria, your Basque
Doesn't have any basil, but it does start with the letter
looks
B.
beautiful.
There you go.
There's your serving pieces for that. Also put a little bit of olive oil on the table. In case this starts to get a little bit dry, it's there to just gloss it together again, right? All right. I think it's time for people to eat. You guys ready?
Mangiare.
All right. Cheers, everybody.